Hey, it's Miss Marnon. So I'm going to go over the subtraction rules notes with you. The first thing I want to show you is that there is a Nearpod video for you to watch. So it's embedded right in Canvas for you. Hit login with Office 365. Yes, continue. And then there's actually going to be a vocabulary video for you. So you're going to watch the vocabulary video. If you don't want to go and do it on your own right now, you want to watch it with me, I will actually mute myself so you can actually watch it right now. So let me make this larger. I have shared my sound. I'm going to hit play so you can listen to it. And so I'm going to turn off my camera so I'm not distracting you, and my mic so you don't hear me in the background.
The other day, my friend told me she'd give me -$10, and I said, sure. But then she took $10 away from me. I was confused. So she told me, learn something about subtracting integers. Anything to get my money back. Rational numbers don't stop at zero. We know they go way down below. So every positive integer you'll find has a negative twin sitting on the number line. These are opposites, additive inverses, whether in all caps or cursive. When you add additive inverses together, you get 0 every time, no matter the weather. Add -3 plus 3. And 0 is the spot where you always gonna be. And now let's try a subtraction problem on the number line. Like 15 minus 5 on the number line. Move 15 to the right and then left 5 and check what we find. The answer is 10. But what if we added the additive inverse instead? That would be 15 plus -5. 15 to the right is first. Then I've got to move left because that's what you do when you're adding a negative integer. True, the answer is the same. 10 every time when you're adding -5 or subtracting 5.
I smell a rule coming on.
Good call. It's time to drop a rule on y'all. Subtracting is the same as adding the additive inverse, and that means 5 minus 18 is the same thing. It's 5 plus -18, and that's a useful rule. To subtract an integer, add its opposite and you're cool. You can rewrite subtraction as addition, and there's nothing that you'll be missing. Listen.
You can subtract a positive, I'ma add a negative. Same thing. You can subtract a negative, I'ma add a positive. Same thing. You can subtract a positive, I'ma add a negative. Same thing. You can subtract a negative, I'ma add a positive.
Okay, I got it. Subtracting is the same as adding the additive inverse. Okay, so even when you subtract a negative integer, you gotta know that it's similar. I have 2 minus -3. Now let's take it to the number line and see. First I move 2 units to the right. Now I'm chilling here at +2. It's tight. If I were subtracting +3, I'd move left, but now I'm subtracting -3. That's the opposite of 3, so I move in the opposite direction. See, I move 3 units to the right. Before I know it, I land on 5. To subtract the negative, I move right, like when you're adding a positive integer, right? Subtracting a negative integer is the same as adding a positive integer, so I can rewrite 2 minus -3, and it would be 2 plus 3. The minus and the negative counteract, so it's the same as adding a positive, and that is like saying I don't not like you, which means I might sort of like you.
You can subtract a positive, I'ma add a negative. Same thing. You can subtract a negative, I'ma add a positive. Same thing. You can subtract a positive, I'ma add a negative. Same thing. You can subtract a negative, I'ma add a positive. Same thing.
Okay, so here's what happened. My friend gave me -$10, but that meant she subtracted $10 from me. I'm not accepting $- anymore. But if she wants to subtract $- from me, I'm with it. Because subtracting a negative is the same as adding a positive.
And I'm back. So when you're done watching this video, you have a little post right here for collaboration board. So what's one thing you learned about subtracting integers from the video? You're going to type here, hit post. So if you would like, you can pause the video and do that now. When you are done, you're going to just answer a quick poll So just how do you feel about subtracting integers? So confident, somewhat confident, I need more practice. So you're going to do this poll, and then that's actually it. Also, see, it says I didn't answer it, so I feel very confident. Submit. So now it's telling us to go into our class notebook and complete our notes. So here I already am. So here we have our class notebook. So we have our DIN question. So it says the model below represents the subtraction problem 7 minus -4. This is like what you did 2 lessons ago. So it says evaluate the expression 7 minus -4. And the preview is what do you notice about subtracting negatives? So you're going to pause the video, answer these questions now. Okay, so if you were looking at this model and you were following what we did the other day, so this is 7 minus -4. The dot's at 7, we have the arrow for -4. We just need to fill in the missing arrow, and we can see that it's going to the right, so it's positive. And if you count the spaces, it's going to be positive 11. For this next one, what do you notice? Again, I can't tell you what you notice, so you're going to type in anything you notice right here. So if you haven't gotten a chance to do that, you're going to type it in right there. Okay, so let's look at our notes. So we have this baskets and balloons with weights model. So if you're in class with Miss Marnon, you'll see I actually have physical like manipulatives that are magnets on the board that we can add balloons to and add weights to and take them off. So first we're going to do adding a positive. So if you look at this picture, if you were going to add a positive, you're actually going to add a balloon. So let me make sure that I like to type in size 14. So maybe I'll highlight everything and tell it to do size 14. This is something you guys could also be doing, changing the color of your font when you're typing so you know that it's the answer you're putting in rather than what Miss Marnon put on the worksheet. So what do we add in our model? We're going to add a balloon to add a positive. And so, you know what? I think I'm also going to make this bold. Oops. So I'm going to make it bold too so I can see it. So we're going to add a balloon. When you add a balloon to this basket, what's going to happen? So if you want to do this on your own, what's going to happen? It's going to go up. So it goes up. On the number line, this is going to mean going up is the same as going right or moves right. So for our example, just do one. I think they did this in the video. They talked about 2 plus 3. So 2 plus 3, we know is 5. So that's how we're going to fill out this table. So that's for adding a positive. Why don't you pause the video and try to fill in the answers for adding a negative. Okay, so you should have filled out the answers for adding a negative. When we are adding a negative, that's actually going to be like adding a weight. So we're adding a weight to the basket. What happens when you add that red negative weight to the basket? It's going to go down. What does that mean on the number line? Well, that means it's going to move left. So adding a negative moves left on the number line. That's something we knew. We also knew adding a positive moves right. This is what we've already been working on for the last 2 weeks. So let's do an example of adding a negative. So let's do 2 plus -3. So we're adding a negative. So that's like adding our weight. We know it moves left, it goes down. This is going to be -1. This is something we've been working on before a lot. So now we're going to talk about subtracting. So we still have the same model, and maybe I'll copy and paste this image down here too, so we can still see it while we're working. So we have the same model, but now we're subtracting. That means we're going to take away things from it. So on this first one, if we take away a positive on our model, that's going to be the same as taking away a balloon. So what happens when you take away a balloon from the basket? It goes down, right? If I take away a balloon, it's not pulling it up anymore. It's going to start to let it go down. On the number line, when it goes down, we know that that means it moves left. So let's do an example of subtracting a positive. So if I do, let's keep it the same example. If I subtract a positive, so I just do 2 minus 3, we already know that's very similar to 2 plus -3. That's going to be -1. So why don't you pause the video and see if you can fill out the boxes for subtracting a negative. Okay, so if you're going to subtract a negative, in our model, we're taking away the weight because the weight represents the negative. So we're going to take away a weight. And what happened to the basket when you take away a weight? The weight's been holding it down. When you take away the weight, it's going to go up. And what does this mean on the number line? When you move up, it moves right. Let's look at an example. This exact example was in that vocabulary song. So if you do 2, oh, it's not size 14. If you do 2, and now I'm adding rows on accident. Why does this keep happening to me? And now it's black and bold, purple. 2 minus -3. They did this in the video. 2 minus -3. If you want, you could do a zero-sum pair model. You can do a number line model. This is +5. And so now let's just make some quick connections from what we just saw in that video. The chorus was, you can subtract a positive, I'm gonna add a negative. Same thing. So here's this row is the same as this row, right? You can subtract a positive, I'm gonna add the negative. The next line says you can subtract a negative, I'm gonna add a positive. So these are the same, right? So when you subtract the negative, it's the same as adding the positive. So let's go and continue filling out our notes. If you would like, you can pause the video and see if you can fill out these blanks on your own. So if you would like to try it, pause the video now. Okay, so it says subtracting a negative goes up or down the number line. So subtracting a negative, we can look at our table again if we want. Subtracting a negative goes down on the number line. And I'm actually going to change to typing. So it says subtracting a negative is the same as blank, the blank, or the blank. So it's going to be subtracting negative is the same as adding. So I'm going to go back. I'm going to change this to bold and purple. Same as adding. The opposite. Oh, I won't let me click anymore. What's happening? Okay, so maybe I'm going to keep using the drawing tool because my keyboard's now not working. So it's adding the opposite. Or the additive inverse. An additive inverse is something we've been working with for a while. Additive inverse. Okay, addition is easier than subtracting. When subtracting integers, I can use the rule blank, blank, blank to change it to an addition problem. So what I like to do is I like to change it to addition. I do leave. And then the next one, see, it keeps doing this. It's leave, change, change. So let's just go back to drawing it in, and I can just write it in by hand. So the rule is going to be leave. So you're going to leave the first number alone. You're going to change subtraction to addition, and then change positive to negative or negative to positive. So here you have some practice ones. And if you're like me, you're going to want more space. So you're going to have to hit enter a few times. So just look at the first one so you can see how leave, change, change works. So instead of subtracting a positive, we can add a negative. So I can use the same rule, leave, change, change. We're going to leave the 8, change minus to plus, and change this positive 2 to a negative 2. And now we can solve it easy. We've been adding for a while. So you're going to leave, change, change all of these. So let's just look at, I'll look at this third one with you too. -3 minus -7. Instead of subtracting the negative, you can add the positive. So we can change this by leaving the -3, changing minus to plus, and changing -7 to +7. And now you can solve. So you just have to solve these two, rewrite and solve the other two, You have an independent practice on Canvas. It's independent practice number 8. I know this one says 9. It's just kind of goofy. So you're going to go to independent practice 8. You're going to answer the few questions that are here. Then you can come back, do your exit ticket, make sure everything's all set, check off a box, and make sure we hit mark as done in Canvas.